get started with it. I think we're on page Tuf Kuf Pei Dal. So that's where I marked it anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to read number Tes Vav all the way across. Instead it was picking it apart. I realized it's one idea. So we started talking about how you're going to have to put together. We're trying to lift up the Malchus from the position, the Ataris, the Yesod, the Zeranpin, to grow her. And in order to do that, we have different combinations of letters that are used. So it says, so we read across it. It goes across to both two pages here. This is Gam Laham Shech Malchus to Zeranpin, Havayah-Adni. So once again, we said that Shiluv is the Shiluv of growing. He said that previously. And I said, and not only, and to that, if you add that onto it, so he says, first of all, the Havayah-Adnis, and then Revua-Adnis, and then taking Adnis in a Revua. So he says, Ha'olim, and if you do that, they come to the Gematria Rayo. I have to really look back and see. I know that Rayo represents the sweetened dinims, I think, but he actually gave a definition at the beginning. I don't have it in my head right now. But let's go on to the next part. So the next part, Lahamshech, what's the purpose of this? Lahamshech ha'aram ma'achra yisod zeranpin. So this is what we're going to do. You need this combination of letters to be able to bring this ha'aram ma'achra yisod zeranpin for the backside of zeranpin. Mispar Havayah-Adni, this number. And then he's going to show you the rest. Let me let's take a look at it anyway, since we're here. So this is five sets of Gevuros, and he's want to go into the concept that they actually represent the number 125. 125 and 91 gets you right up there at Rayo. The interesting thing about this is that there's no Tiferes in this. It starts Chesed Gevur no Tiferes, Netzachod Yesod. So he's saying, let me get that back down here. So again, Chesed Gevur, Netzachod, and Yesod. So what happened to Tiferes? He has something to say about that. So let's see. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure that I understood it. So let's go to number Tes Vav and read the light print. The light print says, B'tevis Baruch Atah Shehem Beis Hachrios, which is now we're talking these two words. You say Baruch, you say an Atah. You're really doing the whole Kriya business. And he said previously that you don't have an aliyah of these things until you get to, the last part, the Zekifos. Let's see what he says. So he said once again, he b'tevis baruch atah shehem beis hachrios, which are the two going downwards. One second. And he says hachrios adayim aim aliyah lemalchus, but malchus hasn't moved. V'adayim who he nimsis b'bria, she's still found in bria. But there's going to be 5 different kinds of rayos that are going to be generated at the nook, which are going to allow her to grow. They come to her at the time of the kriya. Those the kriyos. So she gets a certain strength that after that she'll be able to at the time of the mentioning of the name of Vayla Alos, then you're going to be able to Alos Chamesh Aliyos Bebria Letzios from Abria into Atzilus. Be'ez HaZekifos. When you do that, the shall call Aliyah Ki Sod Shiluv Havayah-Adni Kazeh. We've said this before, and he said V'hine Kol Bechina Shebekuvana Bebirchas Avos V'Rosh HaShana. Sarkshi here remez the bechinas rayo, has to have this concept of rayo within it. So now we're going to talk about, before, as he's explaining, the 5 different kinds of ways that you make these adnis. These rayos. And each one of these aliyos, yesh la ofen acher shal rayo. So he says, Ha'aliyah HaRishona, This first aliyah that we want to talk about, Shal Hanuk, He Mehechel Kodesh Kedashin Debriya El Malchus the Chatzila Shenikra Chataris Yisod. So that's the first one that we talked about. V'hinech v'chaliyah atzma, he sowed this name Havayah-Adni again, She'olad Tzadi Aleph. That number 91 is a magic number. Apparently for Aliyah, it's a big hiddush for us. So this is a magic number. Of the Sfiras Malchus, he sowed Shem Adni b'Rivua. And then this it just says it. This is what Malchus looks like. It looks like this Rivua, Aleph Aleph Daled, Aleph Daled Nun, Aleph Daled Nun Aleph, Nun Yud. She'oida Kuf Vav, it comes to 126. Take that, put it together, what do you get? You got share Nitzar of Tzadi Aleph Kuf Kaf Vav, what do you get? You get Rayas. You get one letter more, which is the same thing as Rayo Imakolo. And I hope I don't give the impression that I don't like what he's doing here, but it's just I just don't understand it. Looking for an understanding of how it is that we're able to strip away, in this case, the shorish, we're able to strip it away and wind up with a raya. He has license to tell us that that's where you find the raya. You have to look at it. You have to look for it, and it's take away that shorish, and you've got 216. So now let's go over to the light print on number Tes Zayin. So on light print Tes Zayin, he says Chaliyah Hashniya. So now we're going to move up. Go from Malchus to Chatzila, the Yisod, the Tzilas. There's this space in between there. And we need to move the Nook into this position. And this is how it goes. You have an Ara that comes off of the back of Zer Anpin. El Hanuksha Daim Omedet Behechel Kodek Gedash and the Bria, which is still there, because we said she doesn't move up until you start doing the Zakifas. Kadeshi Yehe Lo Koich La'alos Acharkach Be'ez HaZakifa B'Teva Savaya El Yisod the Zer Anpin. Well, I didn't have any of that Uvekadei Levoyer Ketzad Merumas Aliyah the Yisod Bebechinas Rayo. So in order to be able to get a reference to that, Bebechinas Raya, Yesh Lahaknim Techidish Bekol Echad Mechameshus Kitzvos to Zer Anpin, that each one of the 5 Kitzvos is Zer Anpin that we're talking about. And he's leaving out Tiferes. Meroma Besever Kof Hey, each one of them is 25. They're 25 letters. Let me see, they're 25, let's see, each one of them is a 5. That's not doing what I said, sorry. He says each one of them is a section of 5. There's no Tiferes, but the others are, he has the others here. So he says, where did I go? I didn't pick a day. The buyer Kates of Merumas Aliyah, the Yisod Bebechinas Rayo. He says, Yesh Lahartim, the Hidach Shebekol Echad Mechameshus Kitzvos Zer Anpin Merubas Sefer Kafeh. Why? Because each one of them has 5 chasadim. So each one of them has 5 in it. That gives you the number of 25. So you have 5 here, but each one of them has a 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. That's one idea. That's one way you can work this out. Oh, machma shechamishim shari bina. Or we could say like this, that the 50 sharim of bina, Nachloch and the base can be split. So the 50 of them, and you make them at 25. So I'm not sure how I could understand this. He wants to say that the flow that we're talking about from up above, this flow here, can also be related to the 50, the Sivas HaChochma. I'm not sure if he means that, or he means that, I just don't have a drawing for it. Nachloch and the base, base Chatzayim. Yesh B'Kol Echad Kaf He Sha'arim, and each one of them is going to have 25 Sha'arim, Keniskar, and I guess he says that each one of the 5 is going to have a 25, is going to get you the same number. You know, Yisod, the Yisod, Kol Kol HaChamisha Kitzvos, it has within it all other 5 Kitzvos, Chesed Gevur, Tiferes, Netzachot, and he said, Milvad Tiferes, he mentions that it can be before B'Shar Hakavanot Drush Vav Sof Chelik Aleph. What's the problem with Tiferes? It's called Achaz Masfiros. He says that all of the spheres, each one of the spheros, he says, the Zer Anpin, Yesh Bel Kof Ches Chasadim. Each one of them has 5 Chasadim. Milvad Tiferes She'ein Bel Kof He Chasadim, which is, and I guess that what's bothering me about this is that he's talking about chasadim, but we're talking about building gevuros, or building her up with gevuros. So here he says chasadim. So he said, okay, he says they're chasadim. So he said milvada teferish ein balkaf hey chasadim doesn't have 25. Why? Because this is the place where the yisod of ima stops. Because this is like the fount, where everything is coming out from. There's a tremendous amount of light that comes out of that place. That's according to Ramchal, he says. So once again, so therefore they're up above the remain in the das. V'nimsa sheyesh b'cha b'hei pa'amim kaf hei she'olim kuf kaf hei v'kasha nitzaref aleichem mizbar tzadi aleph, and you put that tzadi aleph that we talked about previously, shall shem ha'aliyah should be yisod, that is that name. What name is that? That's the Shiluv of Havayah-Adni Hare Rayo. Uvitziyurech Hashemo, so looking at the names, the Chalon Sarak L'Kabin should be called Echad Mechamesh Sefiros Chesed Kavura Netzach Hod Yisod Yesh Bo Hei Pamim Sir Zeh. So each one of them is going to have the same combination within it. In other words, you're looking at a 5, but actually the 5 is a 5, so you're actually looking at 25. So he says Zechav Chamesh Avayos Shemarazim Ramzim Al Hei Chasadim, which is a reference to Hei Chasadim. So therefore everyone is going to have 25 chasadim. Now we're talking about chasadim. It's important for me to understand this, and I don't really too well. He says he's talking about 125 chasadim. And these 125 chasadim are going to be generated to the nukva of Ha'ara from them. Let's see what he says. Vasak kulam kuf kof hey chasadim. We should have really had the whole 25 in each one of them. Mizbar tzadi aleph shall Havayah-Adni comes to Rayo again. Comes to that number Rayo, and we have to move up. Okay, it's 609. We could do a little bit more. Let's look at the next one. The next one has a picture here. We have the five gevuros, and it starts like this. He says, L'hamshik lenuk shebebriya ma'achre netzach hod zer anpin, because now, looking at zer anpin, inside of zer anpin, we're talking about his chasadim. Inside the netzach and hod zer anpin, there's a har that comes out of it. The har of Havayah-Adni. This, once again, we're going to shoot this out there. Behave pamim kaf hey, and once again 5 times 25. Midas chesed gevura netzach and hod. And we gave a reason why we no longer have we don't have Tiferes in this mix. And once again it's das, and this time he incorporates das. So Tiferes is not going to be in the mixture. And so our kavanah is to understand that from das, chesed, netzach, gevura, and hod, you're going to generate this number 125 again. So he said, let's see number Yud Zayin. Yud Zayin says, and I quote, he says in a light print, let me find it, here it is. So Haliyah Hashlishis whom Yisod, Netzach, and Hod is from the Yisod, and for Netzach and Hod. That is, we're going from Yisod to the level of moving the Nuk upwards to Netzach and Hod. And now it's necessary to really pour down, to stream down Ha'ara, a Ha'ara, Ma'achre Netzach and Hod is their anpen from the back of them. El Hanuk Shel Daim Omedet Behechel Kodesh Kedosh and the Bria, which is still in the Hechel Kodesh Kedosh and the Bria. Kadeshi Hey Lo Koich La'alos Acher Kach, and so that she would have the ability after that. Acher Kach El Netzav Hod is their anpen. So, and once again, at this point, she's still in Bria. So but she will have the potential, the koach, to put the rocket fuel in there, and she's able to go up. V'hidach kam nirmaz bebechinas rayo kamo at. So the Yisod, the same thing that we had by the Yisod, we have also a reference to this, to moving up. Ela should be Yisod monim mizbar kuf kaf hey shel chamesh sfiras chesed gevurah Yisod netzach and hod. The kam einim moine Yisod, because here we don't count Yisod. Why? Because it already came out of Yisod. So if you're going to come up with it, let's see how it works. Shahare kavar nimshach kodem dechem ha'aram Yisod ba'avta mamshichim ha'aram and netzach and hod. And now it's coming from netzach and hod. It's up above it. So Yisod's not in the game. So he says, so what are we going to do about that? So he says, so therefore we count from das. Das is going to contribute to this, and then instead of Yisod, so now once again you have the 125. You're going to get back to Orion again. So he also adds this idea. You have the two of them going together, Netzach and Hod. So this way splits up the Tzadi Aleph into he says the Tzadi Aleph shall Havayah-Adni shall b'netzach v'hod ki Havayah ola b'netzach. It goes on to the right side. V'adni, which is left-sided, ola b'hod hare rayo. So he says that v'tzir hashemos the l'holon, and we're going to see later on the drawing of the shemus the l'holon. Zark v'chavan shebekol echem v'chamesh sefiras das chesed gevurah netzach and hod. Same idea. There are 5 different times that you're going to just imagine that you have the whole thing 5 times in each. You get once again the number Ryo. So I think we should stop here, and let's go over to the Sifra, not the Sifra, the Tzniut, but the Patach.